So we got a big one to talk about today, and this one here is going to be about whether the perfect unstoppable force versus perfect vigilance, or even vigilance itself, is going to be the better damage for you or your build, and also which one is actually going to give you the most damage. Now, a lot of people will sit here and say that vigilance is always the better one. Sorry, it's not always the better one. Is unstoppable force the better one? No, it is not always the better one. But at the same time, depending on how you use them, one can be better than the other one, and how your build is set up. So let's get into this. So first and foremost, we got to show the damages of regular vigilance that we have with this right here. Now, we're not going to add in anything else, but we're mainly going to be using the rifle. So we want the foxes, we want the multiplicators of the foxes and the contractor gives. So we're just going to trade out the backpack. Now, I happen to have a backpack where I can trade the weapon core, because what we're going to do is we're going to keep one blue on, like you saw on the foxes, and we're going to change that out to a red foxes later. But we're going to have the backbone because it's a blue one and I cannot get a red one right now. We have to try these two in damage differences, so we're going to be able to have to swap these two pieces off, and that's all we're going to do. Now, the difference between the perfect vigilance right here is we get extra crit chance, versus the backbone would give us explosive resistance, as well as the damages. So we're going to go swap these out, and then we're going to show some damages. And that's pretty much it. But we're going to leave that one mod out on the backpack as well. And, you know, just so that way no one can say that we didn't mess with anything.
A few moments later.
Now, after thinking about it, the blue foxes and all that really doesn't matter. It's mainly just having the backpacks all the same because of that one core. So we just traded this one out. We have the blue core right here, and then we're going to have the blue core backpack right here with the perfect unstoppable force versus this. And again, it's still the same. The only difference is we have more crit chance by using the Providence on the backpack versus the explosive resistance right here. Now, that only means a few bullets will not crit, but when you're talking rifles, that's not too bad. It only mainly comes when you talk about ARs and other things that need to crit a little bit more, because rifles, they shoot very slow. So we can trade that out and put more crit chance into this to help the backbone get more crit into it. But as you see right now, we have the perfect vigilance, so we're at 48%. So later on, we're just going to drop it down to 38%, but we're going to keep the same amount of critical hit damage. Again, we're not going to trade that mod, so we can just swap the backpack right here instantaneously without having to do anything and worry about that extra mod in the spot. So as you see right here, the perfect unstoppable force also talks about grenades. So grenades can also get you more damage quicker. So if you happen to have a good DPS build, you can actually throw this out there, maybe kill a red or two to get those procs a little bit faster as well. Versus vigilance, the moment you take damage, you're going to lose it. So we have perfect glass cannon, a Grupo piece, coyotes, contractors, foxes, all that stuff. So let's bring this target close so nothing changes. We have a named target, and let's see what we can get just with the perfect vigilance and the perfect glass cannon. So we're hitting for 5.1 right there off the rip. Not bad, 5.1. And that's pretty high up there. But that's with a boomerang piece. So as you see, we're hitting for 4.3, about 4.2, 4.3. We'll say 4.4. We'll just round it up to 4.4. Everything to 4.4. Okay, so if we put on the backbone, sorry, backbone. If we do this, this just requires us to get some kills. Now, the one thing that a lot of people want to sit here and say is that vigilance is the better talent. Yes, off the rip it is, but if you get shot or you take any kind of damage whatsoever, you lose it. And as long as you're still taking damage, you lose it. So the backbone actually allows you to keep this damage for 15 seconds as long as you're still able to kill. Now, all you have to do is just get 5 kills and it stacks right up. Boom, done. And as you can see, now we're hitting for 4.48, 4.3. Yeah, we're still hitting even higher. 4.7, and that's before a boomerang. we're hitting for almost, even if it was 4.4 and this here's hitting for 4.7, we're still hitting for almost 300k more once we get this thing maxed out, period, at the end of the story. So you're going to get more damage, and there's a 5.5 right there, 5.5. Wow, that's pretty high up there, ladies and gentlemen. Even if you lose a little bit of crit chance, you get more damage out of the backbone, period, at the end of the day. Now, 10% crit chance, if I remember the numbers right, it's about 3 or 4 more bullets less that won't crit. But even still, when you're hitting for 300k more, that's still more. So, another build that works for this really well, because you have high crit chance and high crit damage, and you can actually get more critical hit damage, is of course Negotiators. So this is one build where the backbone can actually benefit the build. So we're going to go over 3 other types of builds besides an all red one where the backbone can actually help you out. So we're going to get these stacks real quick, and we're just going to see what we can get once we have full critical hit damage for the Negotiators. But right there, as you can see, we're just able to hit this target pretty well. And we can keep the backbone going the whole time. So hitting a few extra targets and then maxing this thing out is actually fairly decent. So let's get these targets tagged and get some more of this critical hit damage. Okay, so now that it's maxed out, we're going to see what we can get right here. 1.1 mil. That's really good for headshot damages right there. 1.1 mil on the Negotiators. And I've still got a few blues in here. So imagine what you can get. You can probably hit the 1.4, 1.3 type mark on headshot damage with this Negotiators. So again, it's really good. And yeah, again, I've got 1 blue in here. So yeah, it's not bad. Now we did put an extra piece of Seska to get that crit chance back in glass cannon versus just doing like the perfect glass cannon. This allows your bullets to crit a little bit more because you're using the backbone. So again, like I said before in another video in my codex, why the Seska is better on your chest piece on Negotiators. Now, here's another one. If you can't tell, this is Strikers. Now, does Strikers need this? No, the backpack does give you more damage by putting the Strikers on there, but this can benefit this build, so don't knock it until you give it one try. Because again, that's 30% guaranteed damage right there, and I believe the backpack is, the Strikers backpack, I believe, gives like almost 32, 35, somewhere in there percent damage total added to it. But still, I may be wrong on those numbers, don't quote me on them. But yeah, still, this right here, another good way to put it out there. You can get the damage, you get a few kills. And because you've already maxed out your Strikers, now it makes it easier for you to get kills. And this is going to give you some survivability, especially against, like, again, explosives. So there we go, we're maxed out. Heading for almost 400k a bullet on the shotgun. Let's see what this SMG does. Oh my god. Now I got a kill. 1.12. 1.12. On a headshot with an SMG. And that's with the Dark Winter, ladies and gentlemen. So again, and that's even without a little bit of extra critical hit damage on that. And we have the Foxes right there for the multiplicative. So again, yes, very strong. Another good way to set it up. And then lastly, of course, is going to be the Hunter's Fury. Now, Hunter's Fury actually really does benefit from this a lot. Reason why is because you're already going to put them on a status to stagger them. You can get the SMG damage out, but this is going to give you even more damage, period, at the end of the day. Now, you do not have to use a Sokolov chest piece. There's also, later on, I will talk about how you can also keep that status on them more just by doing the perfect companion chest piece. But as you see, we can also get 25% more damage from having a 4-piece Hunters, having an SMG right here or Sokolov piece, which could give you Obliterate. That's another great way to get more damage out because it's about 25%, just like a glass cannon effect. So you can actually make this thing hit for almost 1,000,000 with all these blues, and I'm going to show that later on. Now again, the best one for this is going to be your Lady of Death if you want to use anything. But the close and personal, again, has always been my favorite to put on an SMG, so we use a SIG MPX. But again, Lady of Death is your stronger bit, even though a lot of people like the Ouroboros or the Chatterbox on here. The Chatterbox works really well. But at the end of the day, Lady of Death is always going to be the strongest SMG for any kind of Hunter's Fury build, just per bullet and everything out of there. So as you can see, we're just going to get some damage. And you see we already maxed out our Obliterate. As we get kills, we get 25% for the Hunters and another 30% for the Perfect Unstoppable Force. So we're basically stacking right there, ladies and gentlemen. Already, we're going to be stacking an extra 50% plus the Obliterate of 25. That's 75% weapon damage. Just an added 75% for this build. And look at that. We're hitting almost 1,000,000, and I have this thing with all blues except for the chest piece. All blues. That's extremely strong. Extremely strong. Again, we have 53 and 158 right here for the critical hit damage. So yeah, we're just able to glass anything. And I know everybody's going to want to see this right here. So while I don't have a red chest piece right here, we have a yellow. So this is going to be a loss in some damage. My red one's on my other character. I'm not going to just trade that one out just yet. But as you can see, we have the extra piece. So we're just going to throw that mod into this perfect glass cannon first and just show you what glass cannon effect would do, because this is going to be close to that extra red core with the companion with the Seska, so you can crit more. So this is the close comparison rather than me just switching stuff all the way over, but we're going to get the damages back. And this is another thing I wanted to show. If you do this, you can also pull out Pummel. Now look at that. We're hitting for almost 1,000,000 per pellet. There's the mill with the glass cannon effect. 1.2 with the Pummel. That was the main thing I wanted to show with this, because a lot of people like my deal with the Pummel on that, was it the KSG shotgun? So there you go with that. But let's show you the, what do you call it? The Perfect Companion on the chest piece. Because this is what I know everybody's going to want to see. Even though this isn't a red, most people's are blue, so this yellow core really isn't going to matter too much. So let's go ahead and get something on that we can get companion out. There we go. And I want to show the shotgun, because we already see what SMGs can do. So let's show Pummel. Can we break the 1.2 mark? Nope, can't break the 1.2, but it's pretty close to it rather than using the glass cannon. Like I said, it was close. So there you go.